Hello, Oracles. Well, today I'm going to go over my monthly recap for my investments, my income, and my expenses. So, those of you guys who are members and patrons, you get to see all of my spreadsheets on a weekly basis, all of these updates. The reason I do this is to show my transparency as to I am doing what I say I am doing. And, I've gone from $75,000 in debt 6 years ago to over $125,000 net worth today. Now, I am going to be making a video on how I did all of that as well, but what I show you guys on a monthly basis here and on a weekly basis for all of my members and patrons is that's basically what I did to get myself here. It's no different than working out for your health and fitness. You follow a program, you follow your nutrition. It's little steps every single day, every single week and month that are going to get you to your goals. That's what I did, and I'll be able to show you guys more of that in depth later. But for this last month, it was kind of an eye opener for me. Definitely way over in expenses. My free cash flow is still positive year to date. I'll get into that in a minute, but it's definitely showing that I'm going to be negative at the end of the year. So it is time to make some drastic changes. And this is why I do all of these spreadsheets to track myself to say, hey, I'm trending in the wrong direction. Time to make some adjustments. So I'll go over all of that in just a minute. All right, so looking at all of my expenses, now I did update, and you guys will see for the June spreadsheet that I've made some big adjustments on there for different expense and income categories. I just wanted to clean it up and make it more realistic as to where I'm at currently. But for my full-time job, I brought in $3,992. For YouTube, I brought in just over $400. Patreon, $91. Thank you again to all of the patrons out there. And then freebies, I brought in $387. I'll break down what freebies are. Those are any interest that I get from my CDs, any dividends that I have coming in. These are the different kickbacks that I'm getting from credit cards like SoFi. I get 2% back on every purchase. My credit card for Amex, I get 5% back on my cell phone bill over there. So anything that I've gotten in that is basically a passive income that I didn't have to do anything for, that to me is a freebie. So that's what I put down there. So overall, my income for the entire month was basically $4,880. Now, for my investments, I have those here in blue. So savings, I put away $1,000. Stock, I put $600 into that, $500 into my IRA, $112 into crypto, and then another $25 into another 401k as well. So total investments for the month were $2,237. Now, my expenses, so, I was over in gas, over my expense for my son Benjamin, $775, but they did include the Yankee game and some other things that I had paid for the month, so not concerned about that. Gym, $11. My life insurance outside of my full-time job, $45. Groceries, I was under budget at $450. And again, I tracked it this week and I was under $40 just for the first week alone. So massive expense cutting coming for me, and it's already started doing well. Phone was $96, electric was $72, internet was $46. YouTube and my social media expenses, $1,700. This is where I'm going to make the biggest cut. Is that there? I need to cut down significantly. The channels and all of the social media I have are growing very nicely. But when I'm looking at the revenue coming in from those currently versus the expense I'm putting into it, I don't mind investing in it. This is what I told you guys I was going to do, but I want to be just wise with it. And I would just want to make sure I'm investing properly in this and seeing that return on the investment and not going too overboard with all of the expenses. Beachbody expense was $867. Now that there did include my trip to New Hampshire. So that there is high just because of that strictly. But again, that's part of my write-offs that I get to do at the end of the year. Now, the dad category, which is supposed to be other, which I have updated for next month, that was $133, and then rent was $825. Now, my rent is going to be going up next month to $950. So it was kind of a kick in the stones, but that was another bit of a wake-up call of, all right, I need to cut down expenses elsewhere if this expense is going to go up. I am still looking at purchasing a house. I opened up my search window to be for single-family homes as well, contemplating other routes. Do I look for another place to rent? Do I just stay here and deal with it and save up more money to get myself a house in the future? Do I buy a van and live in that? Lots of options that I'm kind of toying with, but tracking all of my expenses like this do me a great job being able to track all of that to see where I need to go in the future. So overall, my total expenses were 5345, and obviously, based upon my income, even my expenses alone were over. So with the investments, that really put me over. So I really need to kind of reel things back in and regroup on this, which I have already started with next month's spreadsheet. Now, this hourly wage here is one of the things that Warren Buffett has said is learn how to make money while you are sleeping, because that is how you're going to really grow your wealth. Well, so I decided, well, how much money am I making for every single hour that existed in last month? So, based upon every single hour in the month of May, which was 744 hours, I made $6.56 per hour. So now I take all of that information and I put it into this profit and loss statement that I have created for myself. Now, this profit and loss statement is something that I have been doing in retail management for well over a decade, almost 2 decades at this point, actually. So I'm very familiar with it. So I created my own. It's a great way to track my budget and expenses to make sure that I am on track for the entire year. So with all of it broken down in here, you can see my free cash flow was negative $2,700. Based upon my month to date, I'm at $979 at free cash flow positive. However, looking at the end of the year, I am budgeted to be at negative 3,800. However, I'm actually on track for negative 7,100. I would like to get both of these to positive. So if I'm budgeting myself for a negative, I've now tracked, and again, you guys will see in the new spreadsheet, I am tracking my way of catching back up and getting myself back to a positive free cash flow. So, just looking at all of this, I'm not going to redo the budget. I'm going to leave it as is. The only thing I changed on here was my rent because that is a fixed expense. So I changed that. The rest of the stuff I'm going to work with and whittle it down and try to come under this to get myself in line. I may go through this and tweak the budget a little bit to try and get myself back to positive here. And if I can do that, that will then kind of keep me in line so I know where I need to aim for the second half of this year. That may be something I do. Again, you guys will see that at the end of next month. And so the last thing I track is my millionaire status. This is how I track my net worth to make sure that I am still growing in the right direction. So despite the fact that my expenses have been high, my net worth is still growing. So my portfolio is now at the highest it has ever been, over $20,000. Now, this is for my portfolio is just my stocks, the cash that I have specifically for stocks, and my cryptocurrency. This does not include my CDs. This does not include any other ETFs. This does not include the cash savings that I have, which you'll see in a minute. All that cash savings is invested in other places. I keep that separate because that is not part of my stock portfolio. But being over $20,000 for the first time is very exciting. Now my 401k, that is up to 54,768. My other 401k is up to almost 3,000. My IRA, which has a lot of dividend stuff in it, so that's growing nicely for me, that is over $14,000. My HSA is at 7,200, and my savings, this is what I was talking about. This is pretty much all invested in either CDs or dividend ETFs, and that is over $31,000. Now, this should be higher, but I have been taking out of my savings when I get it to pay off my expenses. Another red flag for me as to why I need to cut down on expenses so that I can grow this as well, as this is a lot of the passive income that I have coming in. So my total net worth now is $131,000. Those of you guys, again, who are members and patrons saw that I hit a 1/8 millionaire status. Very excited about that. For me, it's the little steps every single week that I'm doing and getting myself to the point where I am now at that level is huge. And so my millionaire date, based upon the growth that I have projected, would be 8/4 of 2028. I was up $3,700 for the month, and for the year, I'm up $38,000 for my net worth. So very exciting for me on the growth here. And again, once I can cut my expenses down, get my free cash flow back in line to where it needs to be, this can grow even faster. Now, granted, a lot of this net worth growth has to do with the fact that I have a lot of my money invested in stocks, and the stock market has been doing relatively well for the first half of this year. I'm well aware that this can easily fall down if the market turns around and goes the other direction. That's another reason why I want to make sure I have that free cash flow coming in, because the money that I have here in savings is making me money as well. So even if the market pulls down, I will still have that money making me money to invest back in. So when the market goes back up again, it will be magnified even more. So, all in all, I am still happy with my progress, happy with my net worth growth on this. I look forward to seeing how the different changes that I'm going to make with my expenses and my budgeting are going to affect my free cash flow and my ability to invest more in the future as well. I'll share that with you guys. And again, I will make a full video based upon how I was able to get myself from $75,000 in debt and all the different steps and things I did along the way to get myself to where I am now. But again, these spreadsheets are really a big piece of it. I started mine with paper and pen. I had a calendar that I would just print out from my phone. I would put that there. I would write down all my expenses. I would write down the income that I have coming in. I would write down all the expenses and debts that I had on another piece of paper. Going total old school. I did no spreadsheets until I was actually out of debt. So as soon as I get a chance, and it may take a little while, so please be patient with me on that. My next few weekends are pretty full. But once I get a chance to do that, I will get this out to you guys to help you and show you what I have done for myself. And again, it can be financial advice. It's very basic stuff that you need to do. It's really just tracking your expenses, staying within your own budget, living within your means and living below your means. Those are the biggest pieces I can recommend to you guys is doing just that. You'll get ahead, and there's a lot of little tricks and nuances that I'll show you guys along the way as well. So otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. Have a great one.